welcome to Podcast Rewind. I am your host, DJ A.D. Foster. Now you may ask, what podcast? What Rewind? What is this about? Well, I have my own podcast when I'm not doing music, house music, because that's probably how you found this. And it is called Tweet Talk, where I take some tweets, some things that other folks have put out there off of my account at AD_Foster and pose them to you as questions, as things to think about and ponder and to maybe discuss with your friends or even get at me. I'm really always curious to hear what you think about some of these things and your answers to the questions that I give to you. So I've done, and as I pulled out a few segments here over the next 20, 30 minutes here and giving you just a taste of my podcast, and hope you like it. If you do, you can always go find them wherever you listen to podcasts. Tweet Talk is the name, and fun is my game. Let's get into it. Yes, the cheering crowd getting excited over a sporting event, whether it's in your own home, at a bar, or at the venue itself. We all love a good sporting event. And whether you're a sports fan or not, I know each and every one of you has been somewhere where a crowd has gone crazy over an amazing, amazing sporting moment. Our next tweet comes from at Drob78, DROB78, wanting to see the movie Miracle again. What is the movie Miracle? It is about the Miracle on Ice. What is the Miracle on Ice, you say? No, it's not John Cena and The Rock's amazing duet during the National Figure Skating Championships. It is about the United States men's hockey team beating Russia. The 40th anniversary this week. It was a semifinal match. Russia had won the gold the 4 previous Winter Olympics. An amazing feat. The men's team beat Russia at a critical time in our history. Cold War was at its height. And so for this to happen, it was all the implications were there. The U.S. eventually went on to play and win the gold medal. Just a miracle moment. Hence the name. So, what are some other iconic sporting moments or events? I could spend this whole pod just talking about that topic alone. So many to choose from. I've chosen a few. Love to hear your thoughts. First up for me, 2008 Summer Olympics in the pool. Not only because I swam and I love the sporting event, the swimming event, but because it was just an amazing feat. Michael Phelps, 8 gold medals, 8. Beating the previous record held by Mark Spitz. A feat that I really don't think is going to be even tied again, let alone beaten. Just because of the progress in swimmers today and the competition and how much closer they've gone and just the technology in the water. And yes, there is, even though it's a man or a woman in a bathing suit, there's still technology involved in the swimming and the technique that just makes you go faster. Unfortunately, I didn't have all those techniques, so I wasn't as fast. I digress. Next on my list, Jackie Robinson, first man of color at bat in the major leagues of baseball. 1947, a moment in history that baseball won't forget, let alone sport history. Paving the way for baseball players of color to step up to that plate and hit those long balls or fly balls. Next up, the Rumble in the Jungle. Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman, a rematch. And this is way before George Foreman had his grills. In Africa, in the state that's now called the Congo. Watched by a crowd of thousands there, but also televised and seen across the world. an amazing build up of two stellar boxers, eventually won by Muhammad Ali. Then we come to Tiger Woods. In 1997, he made golfing cool. At the age of 21, he won the Masters. And from then on, he paved the way for millions of people watching and cheering on golf. Not that golf didn't already have its audience, but he sure made it a lot cooler to watch and listen to golf. I still don't watch it. But his accomplishments were amazing. And he pretty much was a stellar golfer until he kind of faded away for personal reasons off the golfing map. Though he's making a comeback now and having his good matches. One of the things that I love, and I will always be a huge baseball fan, but to me this is an amazing, amazing feat, and got to witness Cal Ripken playing. Got to see him during his streak. 2,632 consecutive games. That's ridiculous. Just imagine that. Being on the coming to your position for that many days definitely will not be repeated. It's just a feat that won't be repeated anymore by our baseball players. There's, for whatever reason, injuries and just general personal issues, I call it, no one will have the stamina to beat that record. It just won't happen. And in 1998, in September, Cal Ripken stepped down. He walked away from his third base. Quiz time. Do you know the player who is famous for taking his place at third base the night the streak ended? You're right, Ryan Miner. Now, do you know what school he played for? You're right, Oklahoma. Although baseball wasn't his first love, it was basketball. But he will go into record books as taking Cal Ripken's spot when the streak ended. Staying on baseball, the 2004 Champion League Series. Talk about the crapping of the bed. Yankee fans always want to forget this one. Boston fans want to rub this right in the Yankee fans' faces. 3 games up on Boston. No one until then has come back from 3 games down and won a series. But guess what? Boston did it. They came back, beat the Yankees 4-3, went on to the World Series, won the World Series for the first time in more years than I've been alive. And that's a damn long time. Cannot talk about sporting events and sporting amazing feats and not talk about our beloved women's soccer team. Not only did they win the World Cup in 2015, which some thought it was a feat in and of itself, because especially back in 2015, soccer was not a big sport in our country. It's still getting there. 2019, they were defending their title, and then did they defend their title in style? Probably one of the most iconic sporting events and showings by a team in our history for sure. And it was amazing to watch. Watched almost all of those matches back in 2019, last summer. But those are some of my favorite moments in sports history that I think have defined not just the U.S. history, U.S. sporting history, but also around the world and for the sports that they came into. What are what are some of your favorite moments in sports? Let me know. I want to hear it. Do you disagree with some of these things? Or do you like some of my thoughts and what I put out there as my iconic list of sporting events? Get at me on Twitter or Instagram, AD_Foster. And if you didn't write it down fast enough, it is in my bio. Check it out. I want to hear it. Let me know. I'm a sports freak. I love talking about sports. I love to know people's fascination with, maybe there's something out there that I didn't even think of that for you personally, it was a momentous occasion sporting wise. Maybe your favorite sport moment was Dale Earnhardt finally winning the Daytona 500. For me, it was a cool event, but now let's get into our let me know. The first one comes from at Rob Ostrom, at ROBOSTROM. His tweet talks about the worst movie sequel. We've all seen movies. We've all seen good movies. We've all seen bad movies. But a lot of those movies that we have seen have somehow garnered a sequel. Whether intentional or not, lots of times the movie itself has such success and wins the box office, makes a ton of money, that the studio says, let's make another one. Let's capitalize quickly before everybody forgets what this movie's about. Sometimes it's a success. I can name a few. Empire Strikes Back, Aliens, and Star Trek The Wrath of Khan. But then there's a lot of sequels that just don't make the cut. Didn't quite turn out the success the studios hoped. Nowhere near the first movie. And sometimes, in some cases, even killed the franchise. Any hope of any future movies done. So I'm sure you have your own. Let me know. AD_Foster. Hit me up, Twitter or Instagram. Tell me what you think. I'm going to share with you some of mine. And by mine, I mean favorite worst sequels. Starting with, who you going to call? Ghostbusters? No, Ghostbusters 2. Yeah, nothing really there for me. It was definitely one of those instances of, oh my God, Ghostbusters was a hit. Let's make a new one really, really quick. Rushed. No spark, no connection. Kind of rehashing what we just saw with no real newness to it, unfortunately. And so that's why almost 20 years later, 30 years later, we have new Ghostbusters. There's even a new one coming out. So we'll see what happens. Next one, again, another one, just the unexpected hit coming at you, doing really well at the box office, bringing new stars and a new group together, and the studio saying, all right, what are we going to do? How are we going to make another one? Hangover 2, definitely not Hangover. Definitely not as much fun as the ride in Vegas. Just tried too hard. It was felt like with the first one, it was everything just clicked, and the jokes were funny, the team meshed well, and the story was interesting. But then the second one, it was like a movie. Like let's just make a movie about these guys doing something. Not as much fun. And then you have Speed 2, Cruise Control. What went wrong with that one? Well, first off, there's no Keanu. It's on a boat. And a bad script. So that combination right there sinks that ship right away. And in this case, probably killed any further Speed type movies, unfortunately. Because the first one was really good. And then it's not that Speed 2 didn't have a good cast. Jason Patric, Sandra Bullock, I would have put my money on it. But not with that script. Next one for me it's a really, really tough one because I'm a huge, huge Ridley Scott fan. Always have been, always will be. Had the pleasure of working with him, and watching him work is thrilling for me. But he made probably one of the worst sequels to a hit movie in Hannibal. Not only was it 10 years later, it was trying to make a story out of a book that is 700 pages long. So right away, the script out of that's probably going to be junk. And it was. And then the only person that came back for this was Anthony Hopkins. So you take all of what you had in Silence of the Lambs and throw it all away, basically. And unfortunately, it came out that way. And it's sad to see because, again, love Anthony Hopkins, love Ridley Scott, but that movie was trash. Now, how do you take a buddy movie and make a sequel when you don't have one of the buddies? Well, that's what the Blues Brothers 2000 tried to do without one half of the Blues Brothers. The first one, magnificent. A funny movie with Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi taking their SNL skit on the road, literally, driving across the country or halfway across the country, and giving us one hell of a ride. Blues Brothers 2000. No Belushi, no chemistry, no story. Sad to say. That was a big misstep there. Continuing on with the buddy story, even though this one had both the buddies, years later, trying to get Dumb and Dumber even dumber. And this one, I just have no words. Huge disappointment for me. I loved Dumb and Dumber, the original, and I can't review it or I can't tell you anything about it just because I couldn't get past the first 5 minutes. It was that bad and that trash, unfortunately. But again, it's just trying to make something work that's really not there. There's some movies that are not meant to be sequelized or built upon. And Dumb and Dumber, I feel like, was one of them. Now, maybe if there was a better story, but just that one should be left alone. And it was left alone for a long time. But then somebody decided otherwise. Let's talk about some more recent ones. Now, you have an opinion about the Transformers movies. I really like the first one. Somebody who grew up on the comics, so I love the first one, and it was really good. I enjoyed it. It was a Michael Bay movie, so you have to take it for what it was. And it was a great introduction to the Transformers. You knew there was going to be a new one because there just was. The Transformers were made to make a lot of money, and they were made to make more movies. Like, there's so much out there between the cartoons, the comics, and just all the other things that are out there. You knew there was going to be another one after it. But again, it kind of got Michael Bay'd, which by that I mean just it was all about the crash bang slam and not about the story and the characters, the human characters, if you will. So Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, disappointment for me, and it kind of just got worse from there. The ones after that fell flat and were just really about getting Hasbro and Michael Bay and Paramount some more money because they knew we were going to go watch it, and not really living up to the expectations that we really would held for the story and the fun of it all. My last one on the list is, again, sequels from an unexpected hit, an unexpected action star. Liam Neeson. Who would ever thought that Liam Neeson would be the action star he was in Taken? That was an original story, and it was well executed, and lots of action. And not that Liam at the time was getting up there, but an older guy throwing around the punches, throwing around the guns, and basically kicking ass. And it was really fun to watch. So, of course, Taken 2. Let's have a sequel. Let's get it out there because, oh my God, this movie made money. We didn't expect it to, but let's make it out. Let's get it out quick before Liam Neeson can't do this anymore. So they did, and what do you know? Boring movie. Definitely not as much fun as the first one. A lot less action in terms of what we saw in the first one. And quite a disappointment. And now there's been spin-offs. There's been a TV show. The TV show, though, kind of went into a very interesting direction, which unfortunately the movie didn't do. So would have loved to have seen that happen. So those are just some of my sequel disasters. All right, your turn. I want to know some of your favorite sequel disasters. Let me know. AD_Foster on Twitter, on Instagram. Hit me up. Let me know. Share with me.
Check this out.
Tweet, which comes to us from @World Cinemania. That's at WORLDCINEMANIA. And they are posing a question to you, and they are saying, as you are social distancing yourself wherever you may be, and you can only have this with you to watch, movie-wise. TV, you can have whatever you want. But movie-wise, you can only have one director's filmography, one trilogy, and I'm going to specify this trilogy-wise that it can only be 3 sets of movies that were just 3 movies. It cannot be 3 movies within, say, 6 or longer. So, like, you can't take the first trilogy of Star Wars, say. It has to be 3 movies, and only 3 movies. And then last, one film franchise. What would you choose? Tell me. I'm very interested. Good discussion point with your friends. Let me know. I'll give you mine. A director's filmography, easy choice there. No competition. Steven Spielberg. Now, I'm being a little biased because I worked on a few of his movies, but the man is an amazing talent, and he definitely knows what to do behind the camera. And love all his movies. And if that's all I had to watch for the social distancing, then that's okay with me. Film trilogy. Didn't read the books. I really couldn't get into the books. I tried. But damn, the Lord of the Rings movies were absolutely stunning. And I'm taking the extended versions. Almost 9 hours, over 9 hours actually, of movies. And beautiful movies at that. Beautiful scenery, beautiful just costumes, and visionary directing by Peter Jackson. And the cast was amazing. Just a really fun ride. And that's what I'm going to take as my trilogy. Film franchise, I can't choose anything else. It's been with me since I was 7 years old. I've been a lifelong fan. I liked the most recent movie, contrary to what a lot of people did. But I think it's mostly because I have grown up with the Star Wars franchise. And to me, Rise of Skywalker closed the circle of in the story of Skywalker and those people, and I thought it did a decent job of it. Was it great? No, but I am taking the Star Wars franchise, and those are my choices for me as I am social distancing myself from folks during this time. And I will be very happy with those choices if that's all I can watch. How about you? Tell me, what is your choices for director's filmography, one film trilogy, and one film franchise? Tell me yours. Talk to your friends. What would they have? AD_Foster, Twitter or Instagram. Let me know. I'm very curious. And then let's see if anybody is similar or has the same thoughts. Maybe even a trilogy I didn't even think about. I'm very curious about the trilogy part of it all. Hey, so hope you enjoyed this podcast, Rewind. It was the first time out of the gate, and it's just a little sample of what I can offer you and my full podcast called Tweet Talk, found anywhere you watch, listen, or feel podcasts. And if you haven't tried it on podcasts, this would be a great opportunity to choose one and feel one. Go check it out. Tweet Talk. Get at me, AD_Foster, my account there, or you can hang out here for my house music that I love to play, other playlists. So don't be shy. Come back often because this is the first one of many. Have a great one. Thanks for joining.